Hey guys, welcome or welcome back. My name is JC. If you haven't seen my face before, today's video is my October reading wrap-up and November TBR. I'm sick right now, so bear with me. It's just day one, so I don't feel completely on my deathbed, which is amazing, but I definitely don't feel 100%. So I really want to get this video up for you guys, so we're going to go through this, but bear with me. And of course, despite being sick and thinking maybe I should get a hot drink today, I went with the matcha. This matcha is so matcha-ing, like, the green is coming through. And today was the first day, so today's November 2nd that I'm filming this, and today's the first day of Starbucks having all of their like Christmas winter drinks out. It was so hard. Like, first of all, this cup is gorgeous, but they had like all of their different like merchandise out, and oh, it was brutal. It was brutal. Okay, these are the books that I read in the month of October. I think I'm only missing one book that I had to return to my library. Other than that, these are all the books that I read. And if you've watched my previous reading wrap-ups in the last few months, then you would see that I usually read, I don't know, 12 to 14 books in a month. Like, it's been absolutely amazing. And obviously this is much less. And to be completely honest, last week when I was realizing like the end of the month was coming, I looked at like where I was at and the number of books I'd read, and I was like sad. I was a little like disappointed in myself about it. But then I had to remember that for me this month, I worked so much overtime for work. I was gone an entire week for work, where it wasn't a vacation where I kind of had maybe a little more time to read type of thing. Like, no, I was booked and busy and tired. So I just had to remind myself of that, because it was so easy for me to just compare myself to either myself from previous months or also people on social media that I follow, just seeing like, wow, like these people are reading so much. But I just had to check myself. And so I just wanted to say that, because I know it's so easy to compare yourself to either yourself from previous times that you just had more time or were in a better mental state, whatever, or also people on social media. Like, it's just so easy. So this is a gentle reminder to myself, but also anyone else that gets stuck in that cycle. As always, I'm going to go through the books in the order that I read them. So I'm going to give you the title, the rating, a little synopsis, and obviously a little bit of my thoughts without spoiling anything. First up, I read All In by Jennifer Lyn Barnes. I gave this book 5 stars. It is book 3 in the Naturals series. Now, a little bit of the Naturals series is, it is a series about 5 teenagers that were recruited by the FBI because they have these enhanced capabilities that the FBI would be interested in. So they're really great at detecting lies, reading emotions, profiling. You have a walking encyclopedia in there. So they are just brought into this program in hopes of ultimately helping kind of train those different capabilities along with solving cold cases. So book 3, this is set in a casino, and I just have to say this was definitely my favorite book of all of them, because I just loved watching them put everything together. It really felt like an Ocean's 11 movie for me. Like, I just loved it, and I felt like I was just playing a movie in my head as I read it. And then I read Bad Blood by Jennifer Lyn Barnes. I gave this book 4.75 stars. It was the perfect finale to The Naturals. I loved all the different information that we learned through books 1 through 3 specifically, and then heading into this, certain things just kind of clicked more, and it was just a great finale to everything wrapping up nicely. Next, I read Mr. Mercedes by Stephen King. I gave this book 4.25 stars. So this is book 1 in the Bill Hodges trilogy. So I've officially started my journey to get to Stephen King's most recent release, Holly. This book felt like a true crime detective sort of thing, and I loved it. It is about the Mercedes killer who drove a car into a crowd, killing people, hurting others, and was never caught. Now, later on, the detective that led that case has retired, and the killer has decided to send a letter to this detective, bringing the detective back into the action, really desperately wanting to solve this case. If you're interested in getting into Stephen King's writing, but you're kind of nervous about the whole psychological, creepy thriller books that you've definitely heard of from him, I definitely recommend reading this book. It was so fun. If you like mystery, detective, true crime type stuff, this will be a great book for you. Next, I read The Housemaid by Freida McFadden. I gave this book 4.5 stars. This is my second Freida McFadden book, and I am hooked on her writing. It is just so easy. You fly through it. I love the pacing. Immaculate. This book was just so fun. It was crazy. And I read this with the mindset of, I just want Freida McFadden to tell me the story. I don't want to sit here trying to figure out all the twists and turns of the book. And that worked out for me. I think that is why I was able to give this a 4.5 stars. So you're following a housemaid that has been hired by this family, and she learns there's a lock on the outside of the door. She's just trying to adapt and get her life back on track. And it's just nuts. I definitely recommend this book. And then I read The Housemaid's Secret by Freida McFadden. I gave this book 4 stars. I kind of had the same mindset going into this, just letting her tell me the story. It was a fun continuation of the first book, but I could understand if you're someone that guessed the plot twist of the first book and you're in that mindset that this may not be as enjoyable for you and it could get like a 3 or 3.5 stars. But I was just in a mindset of, girl, I'm just going to sit back and have a good time. I liked it. It was fun. It was also crazy. I recommend. The next book that I read was A Curse for True Love by Stephanie Garber. I gave this book 5 stars. No notes. I was in love with every page of this book. The writing, the pacing, I loved it. And because you get 3 POVs, it can easily kind of like deter you from a book. I feel like just previously, like when you have all these POVs, but because they're all pretty short, I feel like even if it takes you away from certain scenes that you are really loving, you get back into them pretty quickly just because of the way she wrote this book. Oh my God, I loved this book. It was the perfect wrap up to this trilogy of Jax and Evangeline. Now, if you haven't read the Caraval trilogy or Once Upon a Broken Heart trilogy and you really want to get into this world, I highly recommend that you read the Caraval trilogy first so that you get introduced to Jax sooner and just have a better understanding of different events that he's gone through before seeing his story really unfold in the Once Upon a Broken Heart trilogy. Now, don't get me wrong, like this is not like, oh, just get through the Caraval trilogy in order to read these. Like, we love the Caraval trilogy over here. I have read those books basically throughout the various weekly reading vlogs is where I talk about them. So you can go back and you can see those thoughts and opinions. But like, guys, Dante, say less. Say less. Jax, I'm a goner. Okay, guys, I am a goner. The last book that I read this month was How to Sell a Haunted House by Grady Hendricks. Now, I give this book 4.5 stars. I have never read a Grady Hendricks book before, but this was a highly anticipated read for me. It is following our main character who her parents unexpectedly died in a car crash, and now she has to return home and work with her brother in order to sell the parents' house. I loved the pacing of this book. I felt like within the first 20 to 30 pages, I had enough of a basic understanding of the relationship that she had with her parents, along with her relationship with her brother, and I was already spooked by the house. Like, we already got our foot in the door and got to see all the vibes that were there, and then we just kind of set the tone. The story unfolded. I love this, and this would be an amazing movie. This would be the type of movie I would love for spooky season. Like, I don't really care for like Saw and like Chainsaw, whatever, but like the kind of creepy, eerie, psychological stuff, I love. So I definitely recommend this book. And if you just read thriller, mysteries, whatever, year-round, you should read this book. I enjoyed reading it, obviously, right before Halloween, but this is something I would totally recommend just as a general mystery, thriller, spooky book. Okay, I just want to mention a couple stats that I like to look at the end of every month. So I read 7 books this month, and the total pages was 2,700, which was kind of satisfying to tally up and have it be 2,700 on the dot. But also, my average rating was 4.5 stars. That's insane. Like, that's an amazing month for a reader to have read 7 books and have your average rating be 4.5. Like, I loved so many books that I read this month, so that was just an amazing feeling. And again, that kind of gentle reminder that it doesn't matter the number of books that you read as long as you are loving the books that you're reading. So that was just kind of nice to look at. And I will say that I got various ARC copies of books this month that I like started, but I haven't finished any of them. So there's probably only like 100, 150 pages that I would add to this total, but that is kind of just something to keep in mind. Hopefully I finish those this month and we can talk about them at the end of my November reading wrap up. Now let's quickly jump into my November TBR. So I have a fall TBR video that I put out at the beginning of September, I think. And so those are books that I'd like to get through between September and the end of November, but I kind of like to target certain books. It's like, okay, no, for sure, like I really hope to read these in the month of November, so that's what I want to show you. Okay, here they are. Okay, this is my current read. It is The Sinister Booksellers of Bath by Garth Nix, and this is the second book to The Left-Handed Booksellers of London. I read that book back in September, I think, and I really liked it. This book came out this year in June, and so I just wanted to pick it up. So I got it from my library. It's giving the same vibes as book one. It's just kind of this fun book to read, and I'm sure I'll talk about it more in a different video. So then I want to read Finders Keepers by Stephen King. This is the second book in the Bill Hodges trilogy. I'm going to make my way to Holly sooner or later. These next two I have as audiobooks for my library right now, so I really want to get to them. So Dance of Thieves, this was on my fall TBR, so I definitely want to read it in general, but this is definitely an incentive because I love being able to listen to a book while I read it. So this is a highly anticipated read. I know so many people love this duology, so I'm excited to get to it. And then the other one is The Inheritance Games. Guys, I don't know how I haven't read this, but also the fact that it's Jennifer Lyn Barnes is going to help me because I just read the Natural series. So I definitely wow, this book is floppy. Okay, anyways, I'm excited to get to this. I really hope to read Good Bad Girl by Alice Feeney. I wasn't able to read it in October, but guys, I love Alice Feeney. This is her newest release, and it is a highly anticipated read for me, so it's definitely a priority. And then this last one is The Queen's Rising. So this one was recommended by a YouTuber, oh, I can't remember her name. She recommended it on a video that just said that this Rebecca Ross book is so underrated, and so I picked it up from Barnes. Honestly, I don't exactly know what it's about, but that's okay. I figure this will be a fun book to read this month. And then, of course, Iron Flame comes out next week. So that will be an immediate read. And I do want to do a reading vlog on it. So we'll see. I'm traveling next week, and I just don't know the timing of how I'll be able to film that and get it uploaded. But I really want to do a reading vlog for Iron Flame, just like I did for A Curse for True Love. So bear with me. We'll figure it out. But that wraps up my October reading wrap-up and my November TBR. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next one.